Hey everyone, Matt Pisarcik from Razor Emporium today with a quick and fun spotlight looking at the world of the Fatboy razor.
Field glasses are useless until adjusted. Every man's eyes are different. That's true of skin and beard. You need a razor that adjusts to your requirements. With the Gillette adjustable razor, you change the blade angle by turning the micrometer dial. You shave so easy, so fast, you hardly know you're shaving. Cleaning's a snap. Just rinse, shake dry. The Gillette 195 adjustable razor with 6 super blue blades, just 25 shillings.
Well, before we get into it, you're going to comment, Matt, what's with the goatee and the mustache? I know, I grew the mustache out, we shaved the goatee, and I'm growing the goatee back, so it's kind of in between. But that's besides the point. Let's talk about the real deal over here. The Fatboy. Today's video is really brought to you because I got a new piece to the collection that's really exciting, and we'll get to that, don't worry. But I thought this would be a great opportunity just to bust out all the pieces from my collection that are Fatboy related, just kind of talk about them. Because back then, in the 60s when this thing came out, and even now, the Gillette Fatboy is probably the most famous and popular vintage Gillette razor that ever was and ever will be, I think. I think the first thing we should say is that it was never called the Fatboy by Gillette. That is a word that you and I and all of us wet shavers came up with. As you can see in the many different displays we have over here, this was always referred to as the $1.95 or $1.95 Gillette adjustable. That's all it was. The $1.95 adjustable, the $1.95 adjustable. We came up with Fatboy to, I think, differentiate it from its predecessor, the replacement razor, which was the Slim. Now, Gillette did call it the Slim adjustable because the slimmer head profile and slimmer handle. So I think people kind of, okay, that's slim, this is fat. My personal thought is it comes from the atomic bombs that were dropped during World War II. You had the fat man and little boy. I think somehow those lexicons of fat and boy got put together to this bomb of a razor, this a razor that everyone loves. And why do we love the Fatboy? I think we love the Fatboy because it's just like the perfect size, the perfect weight, the perfect level of adjustability. So I think one of the coolest ones, a lot of people see it, we have it at the store, is the display that had 6 razors for sale. I got this. I think this was one of my very few eBay purchases. Most of my collection has come through buying and selling and keeping, some of the best stuff for myself. But I think this was an eBay deal that I got years and years ago, circa 2009, like when I was really actively collecting. So going on quite, 14, 15 years later, still have it. Not for sale, but just really cool to see kind of what would be on the countertop at a hardware store or a pharmacy or a men's store or whatever, would be these guys. And obviously this, for the storekeeper or whoever, just to grab one off and so here, take one with you. Gillette was really into the point of sale purchases. They had countertop displays. They always were about, the blades were at the counter. They knew that as you got up to the register, it's like today with the candy and the sodas and the popcorn. They know that when you're up there, you're making impulse decisions. You're like, oh, that's right, I forgot. I got to get blades. Or hey, instead of a pack of blades, I'll just get a new razor altogether. So that was big for them. Another really cool piece from history. We'll kind of go from least exciting to most exciting here. This one came in. This was definitely part of Gillette's kind of gimmick marketing, I would call it, where if you were into sports, the World Series, they have a World Series encyclopedia, and you get that more or less for free. You get the encyclopedia for free if you buy the $1.95 razor. So it's just a stock Fatboy, and it's somehow kind of cleverly tucked in here using the same kind of back hook that these hang off of. And I don't really want to take it off because I'm pretty sure that when you go to pull this off, it rips the cardboard because most of my I come across are ripped. This one's in good shape, so I left it alone. And this came through a collector. I just decided to keep it. Another really cool point in history, of course, would be when they did later, 1958 and 59, at Christmas time, they introduced the Fatboy, but with a new name and a different knurl pattern. You can see this knurl is more like squares and the other one's like diamonds and X's. This was called the Executive Adjustable. So instead of $1.95, it was $5 because it came with a deluxe case. It came with more blades. You got 10 blades versus 6. And it was gold plated. and just a little more pristine. It actually had a really cool box with it. I'm someone who's into packaging, and this box is really, really super nice with the gold foil on it and it's all shiny, like attract a helicopter over here if you're like, you know, in the wilderness with this thing. But that, you know, sometimes people say gold Fatboy. Don't be that guy. Don't say the gold Fatboy. It's the executive adjustable. It's the exact same head, just a different handle, and obviously gold plating. Executive adjustable, $5. But I would still consider it part of the same family of razors here. Some of these are just a box that I have, like this guy. This is just a really cool box. It was only out at Christmas time, the $195 adjustable razor set. And I just like that with the big cursive letters. I like that from Gillette. So kind of a unique collector's piece. Now we're going to get into some of the like cork sniffing collector grade razors. And this is not a brag. It's more just a demonstration, education purposes for you guys out there. And we'll finish with the piece de resistance at the end. But one of the variations that Gillette did, I've made a whole video about this, was they were trying to figure out if they should sell this at $1.95 or $2.49. Because that 50-cent difference was going to really make or break it. And they literally had a variation model that people now call the red dot Fatboy. And that was where they actually had a red dot here instead of the red clicker. And it actually has its, and if you open it up, the inside's completely different. This has more in common with a toggle adjustable than it does the Fatboy. It shares the Fatboy's handle and maybe doors, and that's about it. The rest of it's actually all toggle. And we have original ads from New Mexico and actually Phoenix and Erie, Michigan, a couple other places where they were test marketing and print ads if they could sell this at $2.49 or they should sell it at $1.95, and they chose $1.95. So this is kind of a test market razor. They're really rare and collectible today. Not a whole lot were made. And these guys, I've seen go for $1,000, $1,500, $2,000. This one was actually a sample that was in this really cool box, and I'm pretty sure it was like a Salesman sample, or it was like a gift kind of a thing, where it was presented like this. I've seen a couple other in the same box, so I know it was not just a one-off. It's not just like someone found a box. It's form-fitting. It's perfectly made for this. Again, I got this from a collector. It's unopened, untouched, original blade pack, everything's sealed. NOS, baby, new old stock. Along that same lines of Gillette trying to figure out the Fatboy, the right equation, was actually earlier in time in 1956, 57. They were trying to see, you know, this whole idea of an adjustable razor where you could change the dial and change the way it shave. You know, how it worked mechanically. And this is what is kind of really, really rare, is the bottom dial. Now, out of the bottom dial where the dials move down here, there's actually 6 variations. This is probably one of the rarest of them. It has a black dial that's aluminum. The handle's also aluminum. So they're playing with the weights, and then there's, instead of 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, it just says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's different numbering sequence on the dial, and different tray inside. Again, there's probably no parts that share with this in a conventional Fatboy, but it's in that same family. Even the case is different. You notice the case on this versus the case on this. These cases are different heights. Like the bottom dial is much more like a balloony kind of bubble, and this is much more slim and low profile. I would actually tell you the case alone is rarer than the razor. I've probably seen 5 or 10 cases, like pictures of cases. I've only held this one. I've never held another one. Even at Procter & Gamble, when I went there and did work, they don't have one of these, so I got one. I am super fortunate. I got this from a collector who bought it at the department store himself personally, and he lived in a city that I later found researched that it was one of the cities they tested this out in. I think it was like Fresno, California, and he lived in Fresno, and like, so he went down to the department store and bought this because it was a new thing. They were testing it out. But the research came back that people didn't like that dial being down there, so that's why they moved the dial up. But even the magnifying is over the dial, not over the upper area, like the conventional. So it's a different case, as you can see here. But that brings us to, and this one's also very, very rare and valuable. It's not for sale, but I would probably say that's worth, I don't know, $2,000, $2,500, maybe more to the right person. I'm not bragging. I'm just letting you know, like, this is just what it is. Some people pay stupid money for razors, but they're fun, right? And my other major hobby I talk about a lot is guitars. Honestly, compared to guitars, this is a tame hobby. You can spend crazy amounts of money on guitars compared to razors. So I always say, if you want to get into a hobby, it's kind of fun and you can use them and enjoy them, go with razors. Now, the last piece I really made this video for is the most recent addition. It just came in 2 weeks ago. Again, I am incredibly fortunate, privileged, and blessed that we get a lot of phone calls, we get a lot of emails, because we come up on the web. You search Gillette razors, vintage razors, double-edged shaving, we come up. I had a salesman for Gillette who worked for Gillette Company from 1956 or 57 through the 80s. He called me up and said, hey, I was a salesman. I used to go, to pharmacies and department stores and selling, I was an account manager, selling in razors and refilling blade packs and checking with them on how stuff was going. I have a bunch of collectibles to sell you, and they're all from stuff I kept on my sales route. So they were like untouched. He's like, I just thought they were cool and collectible. We made a deal. We bought them all. There's a lot of good stuff in there. There's a toggle. There was a couple of adjustables, red tip, this and that. But the piece that I sold everything else. Razor Emporium's collection is all about holding back the diamonds, right? And we sell the rest. I held this back, and I'm really excited about it. Like super excited, if you can't already tell. This was how the salesman would walk into a store and demonstrate the new Gillette adjustable razor. There was $1.95. You had not only the razor set in this really cool box, even the box itself says Gillette on the front. Okay, it's a big leather box, little clasp on the front. You'd open up and say, I just wanted to introduce you. I know you've been carrying the Super Speeds and the Techs and the Aristocrat razors, but we have a new one. It's called the 195 adjustable. And they'd present this. And not only that, you have this cool little demonstration. Watch this, guys. It actually moves. You take this little lever and you move it, and the entire head and the numbers are moving, and this little angle over here shows you how it's working. If you've ever wondered how the Fatboy works, now they're unique. They adjust blade angle and blade exposure, the gap and the angle at the same time. So it's showing you blade exposure, blade angle or shaving angle, and you're watching it change from a shallow angle to a more acute angle, and the gap changing from a little gap to a big gap, and the numbers are correlating with that. And so it was like a working demonstration case. Now you can actually remove this. These two little clasps come off, and you can pull this out, and the case itself still says Gillette inside. So obviously it's legit, it's the real deal. I have seen this part before. In fact, we'll show it here. When I was at Procter & Gamble in Cincinnati, they had this in the lobby. They didn't know what it was for. And I was wondering, why are these big holes here? And they had no idea. I don't know why it's there. But it all makes sense that it goes in here and gets secured down in place, again, so that you can walk in. And of course, there's a new old stock, never touched, never used Fatboy set in it, of course, with the 6 blades, a sealed blade pack, everything. But it all makes sense. They were trying to sell it to those retail stores. You got the mom and pop shops are walking into. The guy behind the counter, he's selling fishing reels and soda pops and chewing gum. He doesn't know. They want to say, hey, we got a new razor. It's really cool. It just changes. If you want it to be a little more aggressive, you got a thicker beard, yeah, you just change the dial. If you're more young shaver, lighter beard, you just change the dial. That's all they had to convince people. It was an adjustable razor. It was the first of its kind. Gillette went through its entire history up until now, never adjusting the shave really until this guy came out and had one handle that can adjust, and you could have any beard type with it. Really, really cool stuff. This Salesman sample, again, I would consider beyond rare. I've never seen another one, so I think it's literally one of one. Procter & Gamble has this. They don't got the rest of it, though. I did do a little humble brag, and I sent my contact, Greg. If you watch our Procter & Gamble videos, it's Greg McCoy that I'm hanging out with at P&G. And I sent him a picture, and he was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. But that is my little Fatboy story. We get a lot of questions. Can you revamp a Fatboy? It's the best razor ever. How many Fatboys do you have? We have worked on tens of thousands of Fatboys. I'm not exaggerating. We do the most. We do them in nickel. We do them in rhodium and of course 24 karat gold. But I have a very fond place in my heart for the Fatboy razor. I think it's one of Gillette's coolest designs. It was popular then. I've heard from multiple salesmen. This guy confirmed that. It was the hot model. My other friend Roy Johnson, who passed away, who was a salesman, it was a hot model in the 50s. It's still a hot model now. If you haven't done so, get yourself a Gillette Fatboy. Get it from us if you wanted to make sure it's, tuned up or revamped, it's in good shape. You can take your chances on eBay or wherever else, Craigslist, an antique store. If you find a good one, cool. I'm cool. I just want you to have that same experience of a Fatboy shave. It's a classic for a reason. It's like driving a 56 Chevy, it's just, man, you got to do it sometime. That's my little rant all about the Fatboy. It was really just an excuse to show off this cool new piece. But I hope you enjoyed it. If you have a Fatboy story or another model or another variation out there that you haven't heard of or I didn't cover today, tell me below in the comments. I want to hear from you. That's all I got. Matt Pisarcik with the Fattest Boy video here, talking all about the Fatboy. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time at Razor Emporium for all things vintage shaving. Thanks, guys.